My background is in photography. I studied it first in a vocational school and then moved on to the art academy. So my education is everything about photography. I've been very interested in also in the photography that is used in different kind of fields of life, not only the art photography that I'm involved with, but also documentary photography, journalistic photography, advertising photography. Yeah, and for the last, let's say 9 years, I've been a lot using the advertising photography and kind of appropriating the already existing images into my work. But when I started, I was really kind of fascinated by this kind of tableau photography or staged photography. And since Finland is very close to Estonia, we were, I think, me and my co-students were really inspired by Helsinki school photography. So one of my first works is using a lot of like staging and kind of like a tableau kind of imagery. I think in terms of inspiration, of course, art is always something that inspires me, going to the museums and sometimes even seeing some work that is different from my work, like some sort of like different kind of approaches that trigger something in you and give you some sort of like new ideas or material for thinking. Also reading is something that really often inspires me, and also doesn't have to be related to art. Can be a random thing that somehow makes you think and gives you some kind of food for thought. And also conversations with friends, colleagues. I wish I could have more of them, but it's always something that is very inspiring. I had a book coming out lately, and instead of kind of essays by art historians, I decided to incorporate 3 conversations with my colleagues. And I really like also reading these kind of conversations in the magazines where artists talk to another artist. Yeah, what scares me? The war in Ukraine at the moment, because it's quite close to Estonia as well. We share the same history with Ukraine. We have the border with Russia, and the tension and anxiety are very high level at the moment. Untitled Photogram is a series of mine that consists of 20 images altogether. And I started kind of doing these photograms 2014, and I finalized the series 2021. 7 years of making. First of all, I just experimented some of the tights packaging that I found that have this kind of cutout shape of the leg. And I was fascinated by different kind of designs that I used on the packaging. So I started doing photograms with them, just very simple technique, putting the packaging on the photo paper, letting the light on, and then you have the kind of like a silhouette of the leg and also the outline of the packages. And of course, depending on the material of the package, like the thicker one doesn't leave the light through, so it's like a more kind of contrast image. But then like the thinner ones, you see like more like what is written on the package also sometimes. So it really varies. The challenging thing with this work was that most of the packaging I acquired through eBay. These are mostly from 70s and 80s. Because nowadays I have the feeling that the brands, they don't want to put too much money on packaging. They don't do this kind of cutouts, elaborate, nice packaging anymore. It's become more like simple and boring. So yeah, it took time to kind of accumulate enough packages to have a kind of like a full series. And now when it's complete and when you see them on the wall, yeah, because first I didn't know what becomes of this work, but now it's kind of like choreography of different kind of shapes of the legs, different ideas of like something that signifies female grace and yeah, femininity. Psychoanalysis has had quite an impact on my work. One of my first projects that I did when I was still a student, it was my MA work, was about hysteria. I tried to kind of like, with the help of photography, try to understand this phenomenon, and also yeah, I made a lot of research into the photography as well that was depicting hysterical women. And I was photographing in Freud Museum in Vienna and also in Hospital of Salpêtrière in Paris. And yeah, it was a very interesting research and very much kind of like connected to the legacy of psychoanalysis. But I think recently the connection is maybe like more remote, but still I'm really interested how the images are working in our subconscious and how the images that we see, for instance, in the public space that influence us and kind of like impose some sort of like ideas, you know, what it means to be a human or what it means to be a female or male. What is luxury, you know, like what is good life, these things. Really interested in that, and I think it also has to do a lot with desire and the kind of things that we maybe don't analyze in everyday life. At the moment I'm doing research. It's a slightly different kind of topic, but about the birth control. Yeah, since I think it's a very acute subject, if you kind of like look at what is going on in Poland or in US at the moment. So I'm really interested also in the history of birth control, and I have collected and accumulated some images from the Soviet time period when when there was this kind of like a study materials produced, how to avoid pregnancy, and then also the Western kind of images that are sometimes very different because this issue was treated differently in those countries. So yeah, I still in the phase of kind of gathering the materials and figuring how I can actually use it in my work, or how I can kind of realize as a kind of photographic series.